Soul Warlord.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Thank you very much, Reddit. Indeed, the final series we're going to be covering here on the mainstream today, TNC versus DC. We've seen the draft, very strong kind of iconic picks, as you were kind of mentioning to me and as we heard on the panel. Mason getting his Weaver, something that historically, that was his hero back when we saw him at one of the earlier TIs. And of course, likely for TNC as well. We're getting their Earth Spirit, something that a lot of teams just not want to deal with. We've already seen it a few times today. And it gets through. And not just that, you've got beautiful combos coming out from TNC's potential as well. Darkseer and the whole shebang's in town.
Yeah, this is, like, to me, a pretty classic TNC draft. They have strong lanes, but also really good scaling into the late game. We'll see how Raven does on Troll. This is kind of a newish pick as far as TNC goes for this event, and something which I think they kind of ran out of, somewhat were more limited on options when it got to that last pick for the carry role.
We're going to see here TNC making a very early movement towards Arbed, but just slightly out of range of the roll, so they won't get that initial connection that they need.
Very quick reactions there. That Arctic Burn does have a long range and immediately turning around.
I don't know if DC themselves can put back. Bulba's come across to join Dubu. Mother Lease is making sure that Rio and Tim's head back to their side of the map.
Smoke down, which doesn't really hurt TNC too much. Often you use that level 1 smoke to TP plant wards anyways, but they didn't really protect their own jungle, which means DC did get down some nice wards, blocking some pull camps, getting some deep vision off, but ultimately will be looks like a standard laning set from both teams, the Legion in the off lane, and for DC, and then Darkseer will be heading down bottom. We'll see how the Darkseer plays. His hero has received some nerfs, the mana cost on his spells, a lot harder to stay in lane, but we're seeing changes in builds. Rather than perhaps spamming the Iron Shell, we're going to see Sam H maybe use it a bit more conservatively, and he's gone for a pull man shield, so he can actually tank some blows and kind of sustain himself in this lane a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, what's the likelihood that he gets zoned out? He's going to have to deal with both the Warlock and the Weaver in his lane. Is that enough to be a big enough annoyance for him?
He'll get level 2 likely quite easily. And the pull man shield is going to guarantee that probably gets even level 3 before if he wants to head back to a jungle. So it should be a decent lane for him all in all. We'll pick up an early TP, and neither of these heroes can stop that TP out. So anytime he does get gone on, if Weaver tries to Shikuchi in aggressively, throw a swarm, he can always just TP back to his shrine or TP back to the fountain.
Tim's already making movements over DC's side of the map. Eyes towards Arbed on the middle lane. If he does see the opening to go for any sort of play, kind of hoping for Arbed to move a little further forward, but Arbed being very careful with his positioning. They're going to see the rolls still connect. Will just be a little bit of harassment, quite enough of a slow to allow Cuckoo to get in close with the Blade Fury.
This is a TNC classic. This is kind of the team that innovated with the mid Jug and the mid Phantom Lancer. Jug kind of caught on and became a very commonly run mid hero across all scenes, but it really started in the Southeast Asian scene with well, Cuckoo somewhat and just the Filipino teams like TNC. So we're gonna see it make an appearance here, but not an easy matchup. That Blade Fury, yeah, he was actually dead there if he didn't get that Blade Fury to dodge the Sea Rays.
Playing right on the edge of his seat there, Cuckoo. the top lane, our lane we had to really go into bo3 on his own. Up against Raven, Rio making the side pulls. Wyvern, and so far bo3 not being harassed out lane as well, so we are going to see potentially two offlaners feeling pretty comfortable, as most of the rotations have been looking towards the mid lane. We've seen Tim's heading over, Dubu's made his way back and forth between there as well to make sure that Abed feels a little safer from these rotations coming from the Earth Spirit.
It's really
Dubu just looking to get the vision on Tim's presence.
Yep. Like bounty rune and get some casual harass off, but I mean the beauty of this Legion Commander in White such a top pick is because it's impossible to zone. This hero guaranteed to get XP, even get some farm in the off lane, and I think part of the reason to the troll pick is also because they wanted to have a strong lane there. That hit that roll. Cuckoo did have the level 2 Blade Fury. This is a dangerous time for Shadow Fiend. Any roll landing could potentially lead to a kill. No boulder smash, but just the Orb of Venom slow with the rolling boulder should be enough to get a kill on SF with a Blade Fury support.
We're seeing it at the moment, really. The only core that's slightly behind is Cuckoo in that middle lane. 9 to 5. Everyone else at the 14, 15 CS mark. I mean, it's early days, overall still very close. But both safe laners getting the farm, not feeling too much pressure from the off laners. But at the same time, as you mentioned, neither off laner being forced out of their lane in respect. So
yeah, so far Abed having the better of his fellow countrymen in the mid lane, is constantly harassing him, forcing extra regen to be brought out. The early shrine being used as well. Going to be constant harass onto Cuckoo, who's buying extra tangos and doing what he can to try and stay alive. He's probably just really hoping that Tims can land that rolling boulder soon to set up a kill.
Eyeing it up again, but Cuckoo, look how low he's being bought. Abed doesn't have quite the mana for the next race, and Cuckoo with the healing ward out did have a Blade Fury as well, if he was worried.
Could have even followed up that rolling boulder with how low he was. Top lane Bulba low, but alright. Yeah, it really is a waiting game. Those rolling boulders are not easy to land. It is a bit of a guessing game, and every time you throw it, it's like a maybe 1 in 3 chance of hitting a moving target. So far, no luck for Tims, who will not get to that bounty rune. Probably wants to try and work on getting that level 2 now. That bounty rune would have actually got him there, so having a stun to go with the roll may be enough to find a kill, be it in the top lane. We saw Legion get low earlier, the mid lane on the Shadow Fiend. If you can't land the roll, perhaps the stun will be enough to set up that Blade Fury damage.
And those bounty runes making all the difference. Ricky half a level ahead. Can be a little more effective with these movements. Has his eyes on the top lane once again with Bulba Dubu. Ready to gear up and go in onto Rio. Trying to make moves. The turnaround is there. Fatal Bonds has been dropped. Demons actually coming with a rotation as well. Turning to a 3-man from DC. They've got 3 on TNC. They'll actually get themselves the first blood there as they bring down the Ricky. They will lose Rio in return. Raven should tick out. So DC will get the double kill at the end of it all.
That was a big overwhelming odds by Bulba there onto those two, but all in all, a fantastic bit of play for DC, even with the first blood not going their way. Demon not really the ideal recipient for the 2 kills. You'd perhaps rather go the way of the Legion Commander, get those phase boots going a bit faster, but either way, they get the couple of kills. The pressure on this top lane, including onto the carry in Raven, has proven to be very effective, and that's something that TNC are going to have to be worried about. This mid lane's not going well, and with top lane getting pressured now, you've really got to find something somewhere.
Another attempt here onto Arbe. Cuckoo will get the Blade Fury off. The Boulder Smash trying to stop Arbe getting the right clicks through, but it won't be enough. He gets the kill onto the Jug, and with Dubin Arbe chasing down, in fact the agent's coming through as well to block him off. Arbed will claim the double kill.
Which is so well played, landing those razors in the smoke, getting the Jug lower. It's similar to what we saw earlier, where the roll came in, and even if that roll lands, Jug Blade Fury is in, he gets right click to death. SF is keeping him low with these razors, such that where if Jug tries to walk in for the Blade Fury, he may be able to dodge the close range raise, but he's still going to die to the right clicks, and that's exactly what happens there. Arbed managing to outplay Cuckoo with the help of the Ricky support, and things go from good to great for this DC early game.
And it really does seem like it's just a lack in how much Tims is able to do on the Earth Spirit. An Earth Spirit, that player that's just renowned for how solid he is, but he's having a rocky opening in this game against DC.
Definitely a player who I think really shines once he has his levels. And those mid-game, late-game team fights is where Tims has made a name for himself with like these multi-hero boulder smashes. The early game is perhaps not really where he's really known for shining as much, but right now, definitely the weak point for TNC start has been the inability to find kills on the Shadow Fiend, and even that top lane rotation proving to be better played by the Ricky.
And I mean, again, they try and go in on Arbit in the mid lane, but Tim's, he rolls in after the Jug's already dead. This mid lane is just, it's an absolute disaster. Top lane, Duel comes through from the side of DC. They won't get the bonus damage, but they do get the kill. Demon on a killing spree on this Warlock. And 7 minutes in, it's beginning to look like a bit of a shambles here from TNC.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not really the expected place for the Warlock to be. You think this hero, just sit bottom, zone out the Darkseer. If Weaver's fine, go for some pulls, get some levels and farm. But no, Demon wants to apply pressure. This is a support player known for his aggressive moves. Sometimes he gets too aggressive. I mean, the classic Jimmy plays kind of stem from the fact that this guy would go for these risky plays that no one else would go for, and we're kind of seeing it in his playstyle here. He TP's top, he looks to help out and support Bulba. He gets a double kill, now he gets an extra kill off of the Duel. This is just like a very different style to play that 5 position, helping out and going aggressive in the off lane. And because you've got this Weaver in the safe lane with Ring of Health, just free farming away with that HP regen against the Iron Shell, Mason doesn't need help. He's perfectly happy solo.
They have dropped a sentry and they will find Dubu moving back across towards the mid lane. So TNC get the Riki, but that was a smoke up. And they need to find one of these core kills, especially with the start that Arbet's having. They've got to kill the Shadow Fiend soon, otherwise he's just going to continue to get out of hand with the strong start he had. He's already at 4k net worth on the board. He's been moved up to top lane for DC to get this team pushed together and take down the tier 1 pressure Ravens lane. We'll just have to see if TNC can do anything to slow them down.
Yeah, it's the kind of kill where you just say space created. If you're Ricky, you not only dodge a smoke gank for one of your teammates, but you're just getting that scouting information. You tell your SF where is it safe to be on the map. So definitely not an issue for DC losing the Ricky there, and going to continue to free farm the Weaver down bottom. The SF is going to come back mid now, knowing it's fairly safe, and additional pressure in the mid. Doesn't quite land that long raise.
Kuka still has to be careful. Again, these right clicks from Arbet just punching through the Juggernaut. Kuka will have to activate the Shrine. There'll be another raise. Is it going to be enough? Not quite enough. The infused raindrop just saving him, but it may only be for the time being because Dubu and Arbet move forward on the slash. The bounces aren't going to be enough at that low level. And another kill in the mid lane. Top lane though, TNC finding some vengeance. They'll bring down Bulba on the Legion Commander, but in return, Mason's actually moved up to this top lane. Raven just has to TP the hell out of there, and DC will at least find the Wyvern in return in this top trade. But at the end of the day, it's Mason moving in, getting a kill. Yeah, you lost Bulba on the Legion, but who cares? Arbet's getting another kill on the Juggernaut in the mid lane. And this Shadow Fiend, it's one of the strongest Shadow Fiend starts I feel that we've seen.
Oh, no, this is a hero not necessarily known for kind of snowballing in the laning stage. Like, he's just completely dominated his lane and managed to find kill after kill for himself. And with the other lanes going well, that's fantastic. Like, Mason making kind of an iconic rotation for him. He loves to play these aggressive carries where he sits in his lane, gets a bit of farm, gets some levels, then he's ready to kind of rotate around this 10-minute mark.
They need to get Arbet this. They've brought the Darkseer over this time. Yeah. They're trying something different. They're wanting to throw everything at Arbet. He's already starting to make the move back. Raven there as well. They'll get the kill for sure. 4 of them surround him. TNC are able to shut him down for the first time this game, but absolutely necessary. It does require everyone, but it's worth it. They've got to kill Arbet.
Yep. I mean, that's perhaps where the Weaver being able to rotate up the lane has the edge against the Darkseer, but it's a pretty unconventional move. Sam H rotating as a Darkseer, and it's a necessary one because of how well SF was doing, but it's a tricky one to execute and required the smoke and getting 4 heroes into that mid lane, but TNC make sure they do something to address the Arbet issue. Still, towers being lost. The top tier 1 goes down, and that's the first tower of the game going DC's way because of the success in the lanes, and while 4 heroes gank your mid lane, you take a top tower, so there is still at least some trade going DC's way.
Vic coming across just to have a bit of the XP, pull him very close to the level 6. Around by Raven. Going for the phase SNY build on the troll. Lane Arbed, very close to having the Dragon Lance complete. Top lane DC are going to make a play here. They look towards Raven with the smoke screen down. Mason closing in. I mean, quite enough damage initially, and Raven will get himself out. No TP cancel between the two of them.
Didn't actually have the swarm up when they went for that. It was 3-4 seconds off. Perhaps with that it would have been a closer kill or even, yeah, maybe I get it. Demon hits level 6, so this is where DC really want to just force some more tier 1s. The tier 1 mid just have the SF siege it, and this is where you've got the hero to sit behind the SF should he get jumped. So SF is pretty safe with the heal as well as the chaotic offering.
Tim's already just rolling back, not wanting to get caught in the tree line by Dubu.
I just have to give this tower up. Bulb even swinging his way into the lane. He's very tanky, 1200 HP.
I'm going to see Rio come in from the sidelines. Looks like they want to try and fight this. Already the Mason focusing on the Earth Spirit on the back. The Chaotic Offerings drop, clips onto 3. Arbed gets the Requiem through. Jug's already been taken down with the raises. Bursting Samate's down low. He tries to surge his way out there, but again, Arbed with these raises on point picks up a third for DC in the team fight, and TNC, they come to the tower defense, but they lose the tower and they lose 3 heroes.
Yeah, I felt like this. You know, this push is coming with the tanky frontliners in SF and Legion Commander. I mean, they're killable, but you're fighting into the Chaotic Offering. You're just setting up Demon to hit a 3-4 man rock, Fatal Bonds to follow it up, and then suddenly this damage is getting thrown around from the overwhelming odds, from the raises, from the Weaver just shikuching around. Mason just kind of cleans up there in the end, and things looking very bad for TNC now. It's one of those things where that first push coming with the level 6 Warlock, if you're going to defend, you better make sure you win, because if you fight into that rock, and you lose, not only are you losing a pretty bad fight, but you're losing objectives as well.
They'll drop the Sentry. They should get this here as he is surrounded by the Blade Fuel, or maybe not. There's still a Sentry on the high ground. They'll find it. Raven will get the kill. But again, I mean, Dubu's just kind of blocking off the smoke movement. Top lane, that's going to be where DC try and make the move. Look towards Samage, but a good vacuum from TNC as they come in with the response. Silence onto Mason, but he gets the time-lapse off in time. He should be able to get himself away, but it is DC losing 2 heroes. Dual damage, I don't believe went to anyone in the end, as he died afterwards.
Man, he got down to like 20 HP. Had something like 13 one charges that he needed every single one of just to get himself out of there. Very close to killing Mason's Weaver. That would have been the big kill to not by itself get TNC back in this game, but at least free up some space and give them some much needed cash to some of their core heroes, but just not to be for them, and things will, I'd say, continue to look pretty good for DC, even losing Bulba and the Legion Commander, not the end of the world.
Radiant's middle tower is
He'll be coming back alive and likely looking to make his next move fairly soon. With the rock coming up in about 40 seconds time, that's really what you play around if you're DC. Group up around the rock when it's up, and then kind of split up a bit and farm the lanes, and split push when it's down.
Bulba is very, very close to having that dagger. Extra jump potential that they do need. Heroes catching that Juggernaut. Sure that he can't Blade Fury to get away. Pretty huge. Bed. That BKB straight up. Just gearing up for these fights. This stage, that do a lot against the lineup. I mean, Jug's progress, we're starting to see. He's trying his best to catch up Cuckoo, but still very much behind Mason and Arbed in terms of farm.
Yeah. Nice thing is he does have some synergy with the Darkseer, so his lack of items can somewhat be compensated by having Iron Shell surges on himself, so he gets that extra bit of damage to go with his Blade Fury. And especially in these early game stages, like if you're trying, that's why I think a big reason why TNC want to defend these towers is because they feel like even an underfarmed Jug can still be effective. You've got 3 points in Healing Ward, level 4 Blade Fury, Iron Shell. The damage is definitely there and made up for with the lack of items by having just the levels and spells that kind of dish out good amounts of damage. But see, with a blink and all the tools they need on their bottom lane, looking to try and push and siege, it seems.
Level 2 ult, of course, as well on Arbed. The experience he's been getting. Level 12. See, gonna come forward. Who's gonna get the first jump? Cuckoo already moving into the tree line. Bulba may be spotted out.
The thing I really like about this move is they left Weaver top, so Weaver can continue to pressure that tier 2 tower, and Weaver very mobile, so if a fight does break out, he can quickly TP bottom, shikuchi his way up the lane. It doesn't take him too long to get to the fight. With that said, you don't want that fight to end and be lost in the first 5 seconds, because it will have to require the TP time as well as the shikuchi to get there, but that's what the rock gives you. If they commit on the SF, you rock, you buy some time, you try and reset, Weaver's TPing in, and he's looking to clean up, so They don't fully commit like the 5-man push, they leave the Weaver top, and that also forces TNC to keep a hero top. Darks is kind of camping this top lane, constantly trying to defend, push it out. Weaver's trying to not let that happen, so both teams trying to keep this top lane occupied while defending this bottom lane if you're TNC.
DC will actually swing across towards middle. Seeing if they could catch out Cuckoo. Backed up into the jungle, Bulba moving forward, will spot him out, jumps in, gets the lockdown, the healing ward's out. Arbed and Demon, will they have enough damage to bring down the Jug? Oh, the Cold Embrace is going to save him. No, the nuke comes through just at the right time from Bulba to finish off the kill. In return, the Winter's Curse and the Wall combo comes out. Arbed brings up a big Requiem to bring Tim's down low, who can't quite finish off the kill. Onto Bulba, 2 dead on TNC and Mason. He's moving in for more. Raven will finally manage to finish off Jimmy. But it's going to be, again, another trade that ends very costly for the side of TNC as Mason does pick off Rio. Ooh. And they get the 3-for-1.
One of those moments where that overwhelming odds almost looked like it must have been very close to not killing the Jug there at the start. It was probably just enough damage with the 2 heroes to get the kill. If it doesn't get the kill, perhaps an Omni Slash turns it around. Didn't have healing ward, so it was going to die one way or another. But TNC do not find the result they'll look for. Still level 1 Omni Slash, so really needs that second point. Doubles in effectiveness as far as the overall number of slashes, so to try and perhaps play around that level 2 ulti timing. But for now, yeah, DC get themselves another good fight. And they didn't even have to use the rock. That's fantastic.
They held on to it. Jimmy did end up dying, but he just didn't need to drop the golems. A convincing fight. See. Who just continue to have these 2 top leaders on the net worth board. You know, Bulba himself isn't that far behind. He's ahead of Cuckoo's Jug and is on par with the Darks here. This stage of the game, that Blade Mail next. Ready though, very, very deep movement from Dubu as he looks to scout out Raven. The rest of DC are making their way back over to TNC's half of the map. Winter's Curse is back up. There'll be no wall if a team fight does kick off. But DC just looking to secure the vision around this tier 1 bottom. They can get themselves a clean, safe objective, which is going to put Arbed pretty much in a position to pick up a BKB. It's going to be a very, very early BKB and a very, very hard to bring down SF, especially with the Medallion Solar Crest eventually that Jimmy's going to be picking up.
Both the 2 carries, SF Weaver, very tanky, durable at this point. They both have their big first item that give them a lot of survivability. SF with all his HP, and now the BKB. Weaver with the Lincoln Sphere, has some HP regen mixed in there as well. This allows DC to essentially force objectives. They can go 5-man Roshan, it looks like that's going to be the first play, and then you go 5-man some towers. So very difficult for TNC to play into this one. They've got some teamfight synergy, as we saw earlier with the vacuum into Winter's Curse, but the great thing about the builds on the 2 carries is they're very tanky, but they don't actually do a huge amount of right-click damage, so they're not going to kill each other in a Winter's Curse.
Well, they found the Ricky. The dust finally comes out, and they will finish him off, but Roshan's already fallen. Arbed's picked up the Aegis, and this is a fight that TNC, they want to be very careful about poking their heads any further into. Just on that SF. Tier 1's very low, so TNC will be able to finish that off. They can get anything more out of it. It may just be a simple swing round to bottom to clear up another tier 1, but they have to respect the power of DC at this stage.
Yeah, with Ricky respawning, I don't think they can force much themselves. They'll be the ones on the defensive just by the nature of having this rock online. And the Ricky, pretty key hero to have alive for DC. He's the vision hero. He scouts things out. He finds the backlines. Ideally, you want to be finding that Winter Wyvern as early as possible in a fight to try and isolate him, bring him down, prevent any kind of annoying Winter's Curse coming out into a battle. And as a result, DC seem to be perhaps posturing towards pressuring this mid and top lane, but TNC have applied a lot of pressure bottom, and this is just a lane DC kind of want to ignore bottom, but the problem is they're pushing a lot faster than you are just by the nature of being in the lane before you actually manage to pressure top. So TNC are actually going to get some objective despite the fact Aegis was acquired.
They will get the dual jump in. Immediate win there as they find Tim's on the sidelines, and already DC are trying to move in for more. The Golem will be dropped onto Cuckoo. They'll look for the chase down as the Jug Boss on the side. They finish off the second support. Wyvern's out and down. Bulba finishes the double kill. And again, DC just halting any attempt of TNC to try and get objectives complete.
Yep.
17-8. They're 2 cores still remaining on top. Raven's doing his best to keep on par, and he is. But still, Cuckoo struggling to get himself back into this game on the jug.
It was a good punish. It felt like DC didn't really want to defend bottom because they've got Aegis, they've got BKB, Lincolns, they want to be 5-man pushing, but it got to a point where it's like, they're pushing faster than us. Like, come on, we're much stronger. Let's go and show them that. They've got Rock, they drop it just to stop a jug. Blade Fury TP out, why the hell not? It's a big kill, it's a core hero. They're ahead, they may as well get a little bit further ahead. Sure, it's not a Rock being used to take an objective, but they've still got Aegis, so they still can force those objectives with SF posturing in this middle lane, looking like he wants to start chipping at this tier 2 tower. But even without taking these towers, it's still a pretty straightforward teamfight victory for DC. You pick one with Jewel, hero Rock to kill a jug. I mean, once TNC find themselves in a 5v5, they just have to run and cut their losses.
And that really is going to be the thing as well, talking about throwing a rock. There's very little ways that they can catch Mason on this Weaver. It's kind of down to Tims to hit that initial boulder smash or silence, unless you just want to commit the Winter's Curse straight up. But of course, with the Lincolns, it's pretty much impossible to do so. Very little that they can use to remove that Lincolns before using a Winter's Curse to catch him, because that's how limited they are in the control against Mason.
And what we saw last fight was Tims, the Earth Spirit, the one hero that you mentioned that can control the Weaver, getting jumped on.
Yeah.
If you find him with a Riki, if Legion can get a Jewel on him, that's a great hero to kill at the start of the fight. Because he's the problem hero for the Weaver to deal with. It's also Tims, you know, his Earth Spirit does a lot in the team fight, much more than your everyday Earth Spirit. So if you can bring him down, it's well worth using a Jewel, even though he is a full position support.
Ubu getting some vision up about halfway. Togo halfway, in fact, through his diffusal blade. Pick up. Deso now complete for Mason. He's going to step up the damage. Top lane. Bulba has got him with the duel. Demon will be there to follow up. Doesn't quite have the chaotic offering. In fact, with the BKB Raven, able to turn and go deep. Tims rolls under the tower. TP's away. He's not going to make it because Mason is there with the Desolator. And will rip through Tims. But a TNC, they do again get a core. Just cost them the support. And these 1-for-1 trades, when they are behind, it's absolutely worth it for TNC.
Yeah, absolutely. That's buying themselves some time. With Aegis up, you don't really want to fight into a 5v5 or put yourself in a position where you have to defend towers against a 5-man Aegis push. So that's why they were split pushing bottom, finding a pick at top. These are the kind of disruptive plays you can make to deter, well, not even deter, but just to outright prevent your opponents from being able to 5-man down the lane. DC really want to use this Deso pickup with the Aegis to just take towers, but Bulba gets picked off top. Suddenly things not so straightforward. The Aegis is going to be expiring soon, so end result is that all your tier 2 towers are still standing, at least for now. Not about to be changed, but you've still got 2 tier 2 towers up on the map, and that's with the Aegis being picked up as well as a Desolator. So DC don't take a ridiculous amount of objectives off of the Aegis.
Look at this wraparound there from TNC. They want to try and punish DC for coming across. They've got the set entry onto Mason with the follow-through silence. They try and purge it off. Can they save the Weaver? They can't. The vacuum wall combination comes through. Arbed will put the BKB, get the Requiem off, but the bashes from Raven controlling him. The Winter's Curse is there out as well. Arbed has to get himself the hell out of here. Raven looking for the chase down. Demon with the heal will save Arbed, but he pays with his life. They do lose the Wyvern in return as Doobie's trying to do his best to come in and make sure that they come and find some sort of trade, but TNC will end up cleaning him up as well. Raven getting the godlike with that triple kill. And DC just getting caught absolutely off guard by that wraparound from TNC, and Sam H just with a beautiful vacuum combo.
Yeah. There was some incredibly fortunate, beyond lucky / skillful plays from Tims there. The silence gets purged off by the Legion commander. As that happens, the boulder smash hits him. If he uses that press the attack, 0.1 seconds later, he purges off the stun. The press the attack gets rid of the stun or the silence or both, but the stun hits as the press the attack goes. So he managed to.
Tims knew.
I mean, whether he probably sees the Legion running in to use it. I don't know whether he's trying to time the stun as the silence ends. Perhaps Bulba could have waited an extra half a second until the stun was thrown. Either way, getting the stun right after the press the attack meant that it didn't purge off the stun, and that was where Weaver actually ends up going down, because if you purge that stun off, he gets time lapse off. Yeah. Very different fight. You've just committed everything on a Weaver who lives, and there's a big turnaround, so that was the kind of deciding factor there.
Can't quite do enough about Arbed though. Arbed still very, very strong this game with the Hurricane Pike BKB. who has finished at the Manta style, so he's got a little extra survivability himself and find his way around DC's lineup. Yeah, Raven, that triple kill, putting him at the top of the net worth. See how he wants to develop his build. Looks like it will be the Vlads he's queuing up. So really playing for the team here with this item build.
Wow. Yeah, that's after, I mean, he's the most farm core by a big margin, so
yeah.
Going for a Vlad's when he is the hero, you're hoping to dish out the most damage, but definitely a game where armor is going to help a lot. It's all physical damage, the life steal. There's a lot of going to be head-on-head, just right-click battles between him and the Weaver, the SF. Even heroes like Ricky and Legion Commander. Vlad's is going to help even just if you're getting jeweled up or something, so bit of a different, more utility pickup, but hey, it's an item that is very valuable, and I think it suggests TNC are expecting fights to go on now. They want to be as strong as possible because this next Roshan is coming fairly soon, so Roshan is going to be on the mind of both these two teams going into this kind of 30-minute stage of the game. And that's where you want to buy whatever items you can get for this next. This next big team fight is going to decide things like who gets Roshan, who takes the next few big towers. Unless a team like DC can force a free Roshan by pushing out lanes, but maybe not so easy at this point, considering TNC's recent success.
Simple tier 2 for tier 2 trade between two sides. The Solar Crest, of course, now done on Jimmy. It's a little hard to take down these DC cores if Jimmy's able to get himself in the right position.
It's like MKBs are going to be pretty crucial to deal with DC's lineup. We're going to see a Butterfly SF. You've got Solar Crest. Definitely need MKB on Troll it probably after the Vlads, but
I think Raven thinking about going in on this. In fact, he blinks forward here into DC's lineup. He's just bullying them away. Yeah, Raven feeling incredibly confident. Belbob will jump forward, looking for dual potential. But Raven already on the retreat. Dubu with eyes on Cuckoo. Rayo is there in the sidelines. They have a Winter's Curse. TNC. What's the plan here? They're going to look towards Boba. Boba pops the Blade Mail. Will get the duel off the counting offering shots as well. But in fact, the Golem ends up turning around, beating into Arbed. He's been buffed up though by the Solar Crest. Raven will be protected for the time being by the Con Embrace. Dubu chopped down. They've lost 2 on Digital Gatos, but Arbed with the big ultimate, forcing TNC to scatter. Jumps forward with the Hurricane Pike. Looks like he won't quite get Cuckoo. But it's a close one, and 2 for 2 ends up being the trade. Mason will find Sam H.
Not a bad fight for TNC at the start, but once the BKB-SF swoops on in, things quickly swing back the way of DC, at least momentarily. Mason doesn't really clean up all too much. Darkseer goes down, but the other cores do get themselves out of there, so not really heavily won by either side. Perhaps small victory for DC getting the kill on the big bad troll warlord.
Yeah. And the fact that Arbed, again, you know, we saw him get picked off that one time when they sent 4 heroes down the mid, but since then, you know, he's 8-1-7. This is a very, very big SF, and the same can certainly be said for Mason.
I like the way they deal with the LC. Jug just blinks in and Blade Fury's in front of the LC, almost daring the LC to duel him, because if he gets dueled, he's Blade Fury'd, so you're not going to see any, like, spells being thrown in from the side, and he's able to just kind of dish out some decent damage while that's going on. So
look at this, Mason. He wants to fight. He's come up to the high ground. Raven and the boys will TP across. DC forced to back down to the low ground. Maybe seeing if there's chase potential. Arbed hiding in the pit. In fact, well, Raven, he hunts him out, jumps straight forward. The Hurricane Pike out will be there from Arbed. TNC being very, very careful about how they go about this engagement. Rio does have Winter's Curse back online. Both teams keeping themselves grouped up together, preparing for potential fights.
Such an important Roshan. TNC want to try and perhaps find a jump very soon before that Wall of Rock comes back up, but not sure if that's going to be all too easy. They will scout Roshan, but putting themselves in the pit is perhaps not really the ideal play, even with Rock on cooldown for another 30 seconds or so. It is DC who will kind of remain with a vision advantage in some ways because of the Ricky's ability to move out and scout these backliners, as well as just whoever is kind of pushing out on the TNC side. Even with TNCs having wards on around the Roshan pit, they're very defensively placed. They're on their side of the river. They haven't been able to move out across. They've had to kind of plant these as far back as possible. So DC with the edge as far as positioning goes.
31 minutes in, completed Butterfly for Arbed now. So that evasion, as you mentioned earlier, really going to be an issue for TNC.
Definitely a problem. Surprised that MKBs are not really being prioritized by the Troll. Wants to tank up more, so it looks like the Skadi going for all those extra stats. And it's one of those kind of suggesting that they just feel like they need to just survive the damage output and just try and ignore the SF.
And look at this move from DC. They know it's likely that TNC are still remaining on this high ground, looking to maintain control of Roshan. In fact, they're not even going to go for the pickoff first. It's just a smoke wrap around. Straight into the pit, Arbe goes. And with the Solar Crest, you just see the speed that he's taking it. It's already down to 2/3 health. It's going down incredibly fast. TNC are smoked up. Will they actually move over to the pit in time? That's the question. bo3 there, ready to dispel potential smoke, and it's already fallen. The damage, the speed that they can take it is too quick. And Arbed picks up the second Aegis he's had this game. And Lane Dubu jumps across, finds Tims. Tims can't get himself out of the smoke screen. Cold Embrace will buy him some time. Is it going to be enough? That's the question. It is. And the Winter's Curse onto bo3 may cost him his life as Arbed looks to take him down. But the Solar Crest from Jimmy on the low ground makes sure that his team can't punch into the Legion Commander, saving bo3's life. Smoke screen's there to trap up Sam H. It's a third kill once again for DC. As they get the objective, they get the team fight, and they move on for more down the mid lane.
Yeah, TNC just looked a bit lost. Once that Aegis went down, they made a move to like kind of posture and contest Roshan, but the problem is they didn't really know Rosh was going down. Because of the smoke, TNC were completely caught unawares. They put up 2 observer wards to scout at the Rosh, neither of which achieved anything because they smoked, killed the Rosh. The supporting cast was still smoked up while the Rosh was completed, and TNC just had no vision of what was going on. They get kind of caught on the retreat as well. Once you go aggressive towards the Roshan pit and then you don't contest it, suddenly you've got 5 heroes who are all trying to split up and run away and not get chased down, and that's exactly what DC can do with the Blink Legion Commander, with the Weaver. They not only get Roshan, but they also punish TNC for moving out without any eyes on the map.
TNC, they need that perfect fight. They need the combos to happen between the Earth Spirit, the Dark Spirit, and the Wyvern. Make these fights worth. We've seen kind of the Winter's Curse having to just be used by Rio in sort of just an escape mechanism, just to hold one hero back. They're yet to really find the opportunity to use it as the big start-off for a fight. As DC have been very aggressive in their playstyle, consistent smokes out onto TNC's half of the map, wrapping around, looking to catch them off before TNC themselves can get that sort of a jump. And DC will look towards taking the tier 2 bottom. They lost the tier 1 down on the top lane, and we are going to see a movement from TNC as they continue to push that top. But they're going to have to get back to this base because Mason and Arbed are going to chunk through your structures
very quickly at that. Arbed just catching the Wyvern on the TP in, chunks him down to half HP.
It's so hard with the items that DC's managed to build up to.
Wow, they
just got to let it go.
No time at all. Yeah, that can't let that happen again. Going down a second lane of Rax is almost just game over, and just felt like TNC weren't really prepared or anticipating the push to happen that quickly. They obviously recognized, like, oh yeah, they're taking the tier 2 tower at bottom, but felt like Winter Wyvern was TPing back way too late. He TP'd in and immediately gets right-clicked by SF, so he doesn't get to throw a Splinter Blast. Your job as Wyvern is to sit on the high ground and throw a Splinter Blast at the creep wave as it comes in, but that's not allowed. Similarly, the Air Spirit just wants to be maybe throwing a Boulder Smash at the creep wave, stun it, keep it out of the base, do some damage. You need to throw whatever you can to spam these lanes out, but TNC just were caught a bit with their pants down and get punished, lose a quick Rax. Perhaps the Rax are going to lose regardless, but they made it too easy for DC. Suddenly DC still have 2 minutes left on Aegis and they're going to push down another lane.
Now, next time they push it down, Arbed may have the Assault Cuirass finished. He's very, very close to having it. 25 levels nearly hit on Mason as well. No, he's hit it. He's level 25 already, 35 minutes in. He has had a very, very quick progression in experience this game.
And I mean, the Butterfly, again, there's no answer to the evasion, so Jug, Troll, not going to be able to really right-click down. Weaver, Shadow Fiends, Solar Crest combining with those evasion items is just too problematic, so you've entirely reliant on a massive Rio Winter's Curse. That's the only way you hold your high ground.
And even at that, you know, you're wanting to Winter's Curse, I guess, one of the two big cores, but because they've both got that evasion and neither have MKB, it's great because it's very likely that they'll survive through the Winter's Curse, especially with Demon. He's consistently been on the back lines, looking to buff them up with the Solar Crest, and it's just going to be a second set of racks that they just got to let go. I just don't see how TNC can stop this at all now, guys.
It's I mean, they're not really making a full-on initiation or attempt to defend, but I just, like you say, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, Raven, he's tried to have a go here at the Legion. In fact, with the bashes, he will get it. Raven survives, turns toward Demon, but the Chaotic Offering's already down. They've lost 2. Buyback from Raven as he's going to look to try and do his best, but Abed just forcing himself forward with the Hurricane Pike and just keeping TNC in the fountain. A second set of racks for DC. DC just having what's has been a pretty beautiful game from the 37 minutes in. Abed having the lane of his life and moving on for more. Raven will jump down looking for Demon, the potentially easier kill, but they just surround him. DC Cuckoo is there with the Omni Slash. Dubu and Demon falling low, but the Shadow Word keeps him alive. Abed just pops the BKB, moves back up to the high ground with a quick raise, brings down Raven. That's Raven on the dieback. Cuckoo's trying to find Demon, but Demon just TPs out underneath his nose. He'll survive. Abed comes back for the kill on Cuckoo. And GG is called. It's all too much for TNC as Digital Chaos looking off to a very strong start in this series.
Whew. This was, I mean, from the start they just played some incredibly fast-paced Dota. Abed at mid was just a superstar.
I mean, that Shadow Fiend. Well, this is going to be one of the